Okay, I'll bring the meeting to order. We'll review the folders.
And it's 4:05. I'm just gonna mute you till you go back to your regular meeting.
Okay,
I didn't have a pause recording, so everything's on here. Good to go.
Oh, good to go.
Mhm.
Please join the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. In the signature folder, we signed a couple of requests for reimbursement from the state for taxes on the state forests. What was it? Timber harvest. No, just all from the state. Reimbursement.
Well, I took that as just, it's not timber tax, it's just like that.
No, this is stuff that they,
That's an inventory of what they own.
yeah. And I don't have any minutes. I just said that there's 3 sets of minutes, but she hasn't had the chance to proofread them yet. And there was some errors, so they're in draft form, so maybe next meeting we'll have those. Make a motion, approve the manifest dated August 10th in the amount of $56,097.40.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And appointments. We don't have any appointments, right?
No, just the departments when they come in, and I guess Rebecca's the only one. So let me know when you want.
Okay. Okay, and there wasn't much for mail, other than the P2 class at Green Mountain. Leo, you get, Audrey, what do you get anything? You must have.
Well, I'll look into the what other towns are doing for the roads, because I know there's a lot of towns in trouble with the amount and the continued rain and washouts. So I will do that. I'd like to introduce Caitlin Pitts. She's coming on board full time in a few weeks, and she's going to be shadowing me as much as she can until then. And Michelle's doing a great job holding down the office by herself. That's all I can think of, because I've just been straight since I walked in the door this afternoon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
When you start the 28th. Full time.
Yes, or the 27th, I believe.
We're meeting on Sunday, the 27th. No one knock on the door, please. And then on the 28th, she'll be live here.
Okay. Okay. Good luck. Leo.
Couple things. Pot post beetle at the library. Chuck brought up the subject of, with the new floor and everything in. They're recommending. Sure. Why don't you take over on this, Chuck?
So when we did the powder post beetle project a year or so back, we had them spray underneath the building, but then when we had to do the big project to take out the boards and redo all the timbers, they made a recommendation at that time that within the next year or so, within that time frame, we should go in and underneath that new section, spray the whole thing with the one thing done. So they gave us a proposal time of, I think it was $1,200. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Who gave you that? They passed.
JD passed.
Yeah.
The guy that was there, like trying to reach out to Steve, addicts no one.
Is that raw patch?
No, Christos, we have last name. So it's the commercial, it's basically the guy that different than what they were doing for the building here.
So based on that, I mean, with all the amount of money we spent on that building so far, placing the floor and everything else, probably should proceed with it.
Be a wise investment.
$2,500.
Yeah,
I'm gonna confirm it, I'll get something within the next meeting.
okay.
Appreciate it. The other subject is on assessing private property by town officials. The last couple of weeks, we met, the board of selectmen, I'll just read right. The board of selectmen met on in a non-public on 7/21 to discuss town employees zoning assessor assessing private property. It was agreed at that meeting, employees would be required to have the town decals for their personal vehicles, town badges, and upon entering the property to identify themselves at the residence. No one's home, they would need to leave a card, the reason why they were on the property. Those two things I have issues with. I have major concerns with town officials accessing private property without the permission of the landowner. In my view, town officials need to call the owner for permission to set up an appointment for a site visit. Upon reviewing the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, the 19th Amendment of the New Hampshire Constitution, and NHMA Legal Services response to my request on the subject, also referencing RSA :2 trespassing. I want on town records minutes that Lewis was selected for the town of Effingham. I am against any town appointing entering private property without first notifying the owner for permission. Reason on why the official wants access to the property and appointment needs to be made for review. No, the health officer is subject to different rules concerning entering private property.
When you say private property, you mean posted property or just property?
Property and in property. Any town residence property. Did a lot of research on it. I'm just gonna cover myself. Legally.
I thought we
I know,
had that hammered out,
but did some more reviews and I did some more discussions. That's more discussion about legal. Or advising.
So we need further discussion, you feel? And review of state statute and constitutional law?
If you want. I advise, should.
definitely do that by this recommendation. Further,
We can, I mean, but you saw the feedback from voting as far as.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they report to us.
We also didn't officially have a meeting that we wanted to, with everybody in attendance, so I think that it would, and be in our best interest, the town's best interest, their best interest, to have a meeting. An additional non-public and include our legal and conversation.
I agree.
Okay.
I have one more.
that's what we'll do.
Go ahead.
No, that's what we'll do. I'll take that up.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem.
But
So you
for-
want you want me to take an action item to set up a meeting
Yeah.
with town council and the assessing? Do you want Avatar? Is it
Yes.
confirmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoever our ground person is for Avatar, I think so, don't you?
Yeah, you ought to be in on it.
All right, and our town council's on vacation this week.
Till the 14th, yeah.
And you're gonna make sure this is on record, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're gonna give me a copy?
I will.
Thank you.
And last item. Operating from a budget committee standpoint, operating budget concern. Dave, you want to jump in on this one?
Mhm.
It was just a formal documentation, place the email from the departments suggesting you to beat up if you wanted to make it a formal documentation to all the departments, because right now it's just an email from the town administrator. And there was just an outline I had sent to Leo as a suggestion. So don't take that as rock solid. It was just a suggestion to formalize what you sent out.
I think the major reason it is all the. Quite a bit of additional cost for road maintenance this summer, washouts. I think we're probably gonna have over $100,000. What do you think this? In repairs?
Easily. I mean, Well, I'll save that for my comments.
Okay. Do we wanna have Audrey send these to the department heads?
Yeah. It's just a follow-up to the email that you sent. You want a copy of this?
She has,
Yeah,
Oh, you got a copy?
I really do want to. Do we need to sign this before you go? Sign one copy and give it to her.
So the only question I have is on number 7, it says any expenditure not listed above that is over 2,500, so that's making the assumption that 1 through 6. Is at that threshold or lower.
Is over 25. Any expenditures, the ones above, you want to be notified, and then anything over 25, you want to be notified, that's not in the above. That was a suggestion, Chris. So if they spend a 2,500 on something that's not listed above or over, they would come to you.
Give us that up first.
Yep. Makes sense?
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with the way it's written.
No.
Sign this one.
You heading that way?
That's it.
That's it. Okay, Chris, you had comments?
Yeah, so for those people, some may have noticed, some may not go that way at all. Light work has begun on Elm Street for the road reconstruction project of Elm Street this year. The reclaiming and repaving of Elm Street. They're starting with the high trimming. They hope to have started last week. But as Mother Nature has it, she continues to interrupt everybody's plans when it comes to that sort of work. So we did get an advertisement out to the local publication to make everybody aware that starting yesterday, work has begun. And when they start doing more hard work and are in the roadway, there'll be signage going up and so forth. I did have a resident approach me with concerns that the road is going to be closed. And given the fact of condition Route 16, and I said, well, we're not going to do that. It will maintain one lane at all times. So if they're working in one lane, the other lane will be open to traffic. They won't be closing the road. I don't believe at this time we still have to walk it this week. Myself, Ron, and these gentlemen, if they want to attend, we haven't got a definite date yet. And Jeff Perry from GMI are going to walk it this week. Unless it continues to rain like this, and then it's gonna push it. Because that changes everything that we're doing. Just an announcement, I was asked to do this, September 2nd is the townwide yard sale. If anybody wants to be put on the map, contact Effingham Connect via, I don't know, social media, I guess. Last Saturday, I attended the Blueberry Festival at Lord's Hill. And Lord's Hill Meeting House people. That was very well attended, and it was a lot of fun. I got sucked into a game immediately upon arriving and almost choked on a blueberry. Not their fault of their own. That would be my wife. She was throwing them at me. That was part of the game.
Blueberries.
Blueberries. She had to throw them into my mouth, and we did win, by the way. Almost cost me my life, but welcome, Caitlin. I had that on my list. Also on Saturday, myself, my wife and grandson attended the Touch a Truck in the town of Freedom, sponsored by the Freedom Fire Department. And there, our canine Jesse and Tyler, her handler, Sergeant Eldridge, did a demonstration. It was a canine demonstration, and she did phenomenal. Very impressed, very pleased at the outcome and the direction that things were going with Zeus. It's a shame that didn't work out, but we are money well spent. She is doing leaps and bounds. Anybody that is friends with them, you can watch videos daily. She's training. She trained today in the rain and immediately picked up on 3 shotgun shells. So that would be evidence searching and finding. But she's doing very well. And my hat's off to Tyler, very hard work at the cost of a lot of bruises and bumps and but they're doing a phenomenal job, and that was money well spent. And thank you for the general public for supporting that, and it's coming along very well.
Oh, you mentioned to the street fair every year, so.
Yep, so that was the next thing, is they're gonna be doing a demonstration this Saturday at the street fair. Is there a rain date for the street fair?
No.
Okay, so he can work in the rain, so some of us can't, we melt. Tried to get some statistics on the rainfall, continue to field questions about the road conditions, why we're not calcium chloride application, things of that nature for dust control. Officially today, according to the state records, this June was the second wettest June on record since they've been keeping records since I believe it was either 1881 or 1888. It was the second wettest June. July saw 8.18 inches in Carroll County. That was the average over Carroll County. Last Thursday, a week ago Thursday, we got 3/4 of an inch of rain in 45 minutes. So we continue to get storms like that. Anybody that got woken up last night by the rain knows that it downpoured for about 4 hours and continue to do washouts. That has put a tremendous strain on our budget, as everybody knows or can imagine. We as a board have discussed, and we are most likely, unless something happens and money falls from the money tree, which I don't think anybody's found yet. Roadside mowing, calcium chloride application, and crack sealing most likely will not happen this year. And if they don't, that's $51,558.50. If my math is correct, then I'm sure the budget committee chairman will let me know if that's wrong. That may be freed up for the use of roads. We saw $45,000 bill last year for 3 storms ago from some roads contractor, and we saw
Last meeting. Not last year, last meeting.
Did I say last year? I'm sorry, last meeting. Misspoke, I apologize. And approximately $14,000 in material bills that we approved this evening. So the remaining approximate $23,000. Is that right? I said why I had that highlighter and I still didn't. $19,000. That's not gonna last very long. So we may have to make some hard decisions on, because the roads have to stay open. Molly Philbrook Road is still closed. The highway to Summer Cottage portion of Molly Philbrook Road still remains closed. That is going to be a complete reconstruction of that road. The hill is gone. So in order to rebuild that, you're talking a lot of material and a lot of time. So unless we find money somewhere else, that's going to have to stay closed until such time as we do. I was mentioning earlier, some folks might have heard it. There was a significant amount of damage on Snow Road and Colquitt Hill Road from the last rain event. And they washed again today, not as bad as they did before, but significant enough. And you keep hearing, well, if you did it right, anybody that came 153 north this evening to this facility, right across from the fire station, there's a pond right in the middle of 153. That's not normally there. There's a pond in our parking lot that's not normally there. The ground is too wet. It can't take any more water. Bottom line. If you have a hill and you dump 100 gallons of water on the top of it, and normal running down the ditch, by the time it gets to a catch basin at the bottom of a hill or whatever, there might be 50 gallons or 60 gallons to reach that. Now there's 110 gallons at the bottom of the hill by the time it gets there. If you dump 100 gallons at the top, it's just so wet. So it doesn't matter what kind of engineering you do. It just cannot take this amount of rain that we've been getting. Bottom line. Everybody knows what I do for a living, and we're repetitively with a much larger budget in the state of New Hampshire itself. 113 in Madison is still partially closed. They just can't take it. We're doing the best we can with the budget constraints that we have in the small town of Effingham. And it's nobody's fault except for Mother Nature. That's the bottom line. In the mail folder, there was an estimated, because they still have to do the final budget stuff. But the block grants, were estimated at potentially receiving, around $84,000 in block grant money from the federal government, so fingers crossed that that holds true. And I did see also in the mail folder, there was some information regarding the New Hampshire Public Works mutual aid agreement. I don't know if the town's ever visited that before, they're talking about doing that, or if it's.
We talked about it, we didn't think it was, we don't have a highway department, it's not like us,
But it's not just for towns with highway department, so an actuality.
Get hard off, everybody's gonna be there.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's this mutual aid agreement, I mean, if you read that letter, like the town of Alton and those towns, they got resources from far away as Bedford and New London and towns that didn't get hit that hard. So, and I'm not saying they come up with loads of gravel and stuff like that, but they brought barriers and things of that nature. And given the fact that, yes, it is our contractor, but some of the property is the town's homes and signage. Of course you call me now, I think I was going to meeting. It's our contractor right there. Cones keep getting stolen, so if anybody sees anybody picking up cones, tell them put them back, because we need those cones. So, about 15 cones got stolen since Friday that were in places that were supposed they need to be there to mark for a dangerous spot. So I think that's it for me. Put my glasses back on. I
Did
see
you
my
get your phones?
I didn't get them back now,
No, they're gone.
so they want them with me.
Thank you for putting them out though. JT was supposed to be here tonight to give his report, but he called me earlier and he couldn't make it. But he was approached by a private citizen to flush out the culvert at the end of his driveway. And he thought he should ask us how we felt about it. And I told him that I would bring it up, but I didn't think we should be getting in that kind of business. So we should kind of either vote on that, get it out in the public, or I think it's just gonna open up a big can of worms if we do that. So
One that do everybody's.
right.
And so as a road guy, the driveway culverts are ditch lines for our roads. And if we don't help maintain culverts, that culvert's blocked, it's gonna wash our road above that culvert. If it's a private, if it's a driveway culvert that's off in the road, say there's a turnout, what we call a water turnout, is where you, by building up material, you turn the water, way into the woods to slow it down, so it doesn't, because it gains speed as it goes down. And then it crosses somebody's driveway, it's on their driveway. I would agree with you, gentlemen. I know we did talk about this, but I'm thinking about it. If we don't, that's all part of maintenance. Our culverts that cross our roads, culverts on the edge of our roads, we don't put culverts in. And I agree with that. No, most towns don't, and state of New Hampshire do not on driveways. But they do maintain them, because that driveway culvert blocks. It's gonna wash our road out.
So we look at it from, looking at next year for ditching. In columns. But for the discussion tonight is actually putting a culvert in.
Putting a culvert in and flushing the culvert.
Flushing.
Oh, just watch it.
Flushing.
Okay.
I mean, if it's the fire department that's doing it, and yes, it's their time is our money and the town's money. But they're there anyway, so if they're willing to do it. I'm okay with it because it could potentially save our road.
I just think it's just gonna open up the can. Case in point, Pond Road.
There's no culvert there.
Well, there is next driveway down, but it's way out and it's way too small, so.
But if that culvert was cleaned out, they wouldn't have gone across the road and wiped out the neighbor's culvert across the road, which is what happened.
I mean, even, you know, culverts plugged up in big heavy rainstorms, some plug up, and then it's gonna just go around it anyways.
That's just like maybe plugged it right up.
Yeah. I don't think we should be getting into that business. I mean, yes, it may save washing the road out, but. You know,
Yeah, I look at, you know, we do have a separate line item for ditching and all that stuff, and we see a color that isn't like. Then we probably could contact JT and flush it out. Or do it right now, I don't know. Whether Chuck had a question.
We just- The only, if we're gonna start doing that from a culvert standpoint. I'd ask you to consider doing that for some of the culverts on under the town roads right now.
Absolutely.
Cause I've got 2 of them on Snow Road near my property, the 3/4 plugged. The one coming down on Townhouse Road below the library on the corner road, that is 3/4 plugged.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it as a policy to start flushing some of these, I hope we consider doing some of our own.
yeah, we should do our own before we start doing private.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, Vicky Crook Agreement Road. I guess, are we gonna get into any problems having the fire department do it instead of the road contract? Like if have they done this before? Do they know what they're doing? I should say, I mean. I don't know, I'm just saying, if something happens and it's the fire department doing it.
Which
then
is a conflict
whose
of interest.
responsibility is it if something happened?
Like what?
I don't know, anything.
Too much pressure.
Well, they watch out, instead of the culvert, they watch out on the ditch.
So,
I just think. We're opening ourselves up to
I do too. I'm just-
Dave.
Lenny, I just suggest that you check your ordinances because it requires a homeowner to maintain and install and keep the culverts open. That's in your ordinance, and there's an RSA, state RSA. You cannot use town funds for private property. It's a violation. I can get you that RSA. I've quoted it many times in these meetings. I don't have it right here with me. So I suggest you check that out before you even think about using
Well,
town money for private.
I wouldn't think of using that. That was me, but
No, but before it is sought out, that's all, I'm just
Yeah.
check it out, I mean. You don't wanna violate something and cause something for a liability for the town.
it's a maintenance issue. That's not a liability to the town. All towns do it. Town of Boston does it all
It's
the
a
time.
liability.
It's a maintenance. We're not replacing the culvert. We're maintaining the town roads for public safety.
Check, all I can say is just check the RSA, because if you violate the RSA, it's a liability to all the citizens. That's all I'm gonna ask.
Send me the errors.
you
wanna vote on it?
Forward it on. We'll see what the RSA says.
We'll table it for next meeting.
Yeah. All right, at this time, Rebecca?
Yeah.
You want, you're up?
I'm up.
The two aren't showing up, so.
You have my report.
Add it.
Yeah.
Yep.
that-
Add it.
Gotta find it.
Yeah, any questions?
What are the winning numbers for tonight, Mega Millions?
What?
You said, do I have any questions? I said, what is the winning numbers for tonight's Mega Million?
Oh, 32, 75, 64.
You talking a little fast.
I noticed you had one denied application.
Yes. Sat on it for really longer than I should have, but I kept getting information that they were gonna catch up and do what they needed to do. And it was waiting on an inspection of the septic system, so that the health officer could sign off on it. And about a month ago, I sent them a notice saying, you know, really need to hear the progress on whether you've got someone who will do an appraisal of it. Or I'm gonna have to deny it without prejudice. And I didn't even get a response from that email. If he'd said, well, I'm working on it, the rates made it difficult, whatever, I probably would have hung on for a while. But I didn't even get a response. So after a month after I'd sent that email, I just I wrote a letter saying, you know, I'm sorry, I'm sending, you know, I'm gonna deny this, you'll have to resubmit when you get your septic approval. And the question is whether someone, a licensed appraiser, what is that, inspector, anyway, state inspector, whether they will approve the existing system for the expansion of a cabin, which is basically a gray water and outhouse. That, you know, goes back to the 80s. Or whether they need to put in a full-scale system, and it's not, you know, I was completely hands off about it. I said, you know, you find someone that's licensed to handle it one way or the other. And so having waited that long, and then having given the extra month to respond to the letter, I said, well, just do it by the book. I don't often do that. I usually give people a little extra time to get stuff done, even though the RSA says I'm supposed to turn it around. So. And I did get an email back in response to the letter saying, oh, well, I've got someone lined up, but they said they couldn't come because it's been so wet. So I thought, well.
Is that location located in the groundwater protection area?
Don't believe so.
So no section of my property is.
Yeah, well, it's pretty high up. I have to look, but I don't think so.
We received a building permit for the fuel tank,
Romina,
correct?
they've not applied for a building permit. And, you know, really, they do need to, because the way our statute is, our ordinance is written, it's a change of use, leaving aside any conversations about what's a structure and what's grandfathered and anything else. Very basically, the way we treat anyone, if they're adding or changing a use, they need a building permit, even if they've already gone through the site plan process.
The two solar arrays, are they big or small?
One of them's pretty big. The ground-based one, you see, it's over 2,000 square feet. That's about 2/3 of the way down on Elm Street there. It's a big array.
Yeah,
They own the two lots, the main lot that the buildings are on, and the second lot next to it that has the second driveway. And they pulled out a current use apart for the second driveway and the solar panels, the access back to the big building at the back, all of that, so they.
What's it put? Or in the back?
Yeah, the solar array sort of half on one lot and half on the other. They provided drawings and then view Google Earth type map picture with the panel superimposed on it. See it? Yeah, as their plot plan. And that building, by the way, I double checked the height. It is within our ordinance. And when you do the average grade and the average of the midpoint of the highest roof, high point and low point, it comes in at about 29 feet, a little more than 29 feet. They provided me with a full schematic for us.
I would respectfully beg to differ because the building is now erected.
Yeah.
And from ground to peak.
Well,
That
then
is
they
more,
did,
if that is less than 29 feet or less, I'd eat my hat.
well, 29 and change, but that's what the elevations that I have. Yeah. Now, if we're questioning whether they built to match the elevations. Then that's something else, then someone actually gonna have to get out there with ladders and actually measure it and, you know, do. Do some kind of survey to get the average grade, which is about. Actually have it here, it's about, it's 29.7 and 9/16. And I worked out the schematic on the grade. And there's about 10 feet, 10 or 12 feet difference in grade from across the span of the building, from the high point to the low point. So you take the average grade height, that's the way our regulation is written, ordinance is written. And then you take the distance between the high point and the low point of the highest roof. And you measure from that average grade point up to that midpoint, and that gives you our roof height according to our ordinance.
So if you throw in a bunch of doghouse dormers, those lower roofs, so that it affects your average.
No, you only use the height, you only use the midpoint of the tallest roof.
Okay.
So you go to the ridge.
Yep.
And then find the bottom point of the ridge and you leave out all the, you know, dormers and doghouse and everything, and you get whatever that is. Which looks like he's saying the roof is 19, that it's a pretty high roof for the height of the building. You want to see the schematic?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I can see the house.
Okay, well, anyway, it's there, it's got the average finished grade, the center of the highest roof, maximum building height based on our ordinance, so. And he sent me this detail, but I also have on file. The full elevations of the building and the full site of the building, you know, they're in the property file, anyone who wants to look at that.
Okay.
That detail.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Okay.
Any questions for us?
Well, it's a very silly question, but who changes light bulbs?
Light bulb.
Well, I was told today that it's my job to put a box on the top shelf.
I already did it.
I'm off the box on the top shelf order.
I'm gonna sign up for,
I'll sign up for light bulb.
there's one fluorescent light panel fixture out in the back. That, you know, I'm used to just jiggling them if I have to, but it's right over my desk. And so even though I have a desk light, it means that looking at maps and stuff. Kind of hard. No,
I'll leave a note for the maintenance guy for this weekend.
we have a maintenance person?
We do. Oh, she was being fresh.
No, we do.
No, she was being fresh and she said we have a meeting.
Okay, yeah, that was the only thing. I'm curious, is there some idea of form of motion on the floor of the hallway there? You know, the hole?
Maintenance man look at that.
Oh, last meeting you told me to ask Joe if the guy who built the closet could do it, and I forgot to do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna reach out to Joe's person first.
I didn't have notes of anything else. So. I think that's it.
I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll go back. I got something sitting back there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't let the hole fall through the hole in the floor. And you could have given them a box of light bulbs so they were sitting there.
Well, go pipe it, you could probably change that.
You can fix the hole in the floor. Use a dope.
Thank you.
Did you get it?
No, I didn't talk to Bill, but I did talk. But it's-
Yeah.
He said you could talk to Bill.
Yeah. I don't have that. Yeah, yes, so. He's out there. Making time to get him. We have to, award the winter road contract. I'll make a motion to award the winter road contract, Edwards Concrete and Excavation. season 1 for the price of $257,000. Season 2, $263,000, and season 3, $268,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, okay.
Who's the only bid too, right?
Yeah. Thank God he bid on it. So, Audrey, do you have something typed up? Or not, signed?
No,
We have to
Okay.
get the,
no, we will, but I can at least inform him and.
We looked at it all, just putting it together. The other night. We're good to go.
Good to go, okay.
And the cemetery rate clarification. I think you said I misquoted.
you got the 1 second.
Yeah, so we had, we sold 4 lots, and when we checked our new rates, it's 350, not 300 a lot.
Yeah.
But we did honor what you quoted them when they came in. But I just thought all of you should know it's 350. Maybe we should put something on the website
Okay.
of what it is, or. Okay.
Big demand.
Unfortunately.
Make a bad joke.
I'm struggling not to, I'm not gonna lie.
And did you ever get to do anything with factory audit?
No, we just talked about that. I talked about it with Caitlin and Michelle, and we have another person too. So, we'll get those out. I'm gonna work with Michelle. We need to have the tax collector come back from vacation and get the most up-to-date tax figure from him.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be Tuesday at the latest.
Okay.
Meeting. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I had an email from the girl at Green Mountain Conservation Group. Wanting to know how much salt and sand that we have used in the last 10 years.
just email them back and say, oh, no.
I think going back through 10 years worth of.
We wouldn't have 10 years worth of records because we don't keep the vendor files, we keep them a year after they're audited, maybe 2. And so we just wouldn't have that information, we might have 2 years.
Yeah.
That we could pretty easily pull for her.
Yeah, 10 years, I guess.
I don't know what the sand would be though, I would only be able to go to the salt retreats. But they could come in and look through.
Yeah.
They could look through the road contractors slips at sand if they wanted to.
Well, they're having that T2 class over there. Next week, right?
Yeah,
I'll just tell them that. I think I'm gonna go to that.
you want me to sign up?
Yeah.
Tell them, okay,
You said you had 2 complimentary tickets. yeah?
correct.
What day is that?
So,
23rd March.
Are they getting credit for that this year? Did you get credit for that?
August
I
23rd.
believe so.
It's a T2
Yeah,
class,
T2.
so yes.
Yeah, so it's good.
8:30 and 11.
Yeah, I'll go with Lenny.
I had to reach out to them because we didn't know where it was being held in Effingham. No,
Usually they're holding in Ospey, where are they holding them?
Green Mountain Conservation Center.
At their.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let them know you're going.
Post that as a meeting.
You just did, there's one notification.
Okay.
Any announcements?
Town clerk's closed this week.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that.
When you go into public comment, we have a half dozen people on Zoom tonight.
Okay. I'll open it up to public comment. Please, state your name for the record, and try to keep it civil.
Going first, we go first. My name is Chris Kanga. I live over in Lost Valley. I am the secretary of the Lost Valley Property Owners Association. Tom Murphy's here with me. He's the president of the same. Really simple question for you guys more than anything else. We had requested to have a mailbox put in for our association. Gentleman came out, we took a look around, said, yep, good to go. At the time I had requested Pump House Road for the road name. Got a letter approving our addresses, One Lost Valley Path. So I don't know where the Lost Valley Path came from. Everybody knows that road is Pump House Road. There is no other Pump House Road in Effingham, I look. We're just trying to figure out what we need to do to get the road.
It's private property.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not currently named right now, we just want to place a mailbox.
But because the postal system's involved,
Yeah, you have to, it's probably for the electricity for the pump house. You get your mail or whatever.
So I had sent an email through the town, so I wasn't sure to contact, and they forwarded it to, I think it's Mr. Hines.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. He said, no, I can't change the street name. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
you made up the street name in the first place. He's the one we asked for.
my person, then you have your name, boss, it's not a name of the town.
Right, but insofar as like the postal system, right, so it's gotta be an approved.
Right.
Address, so I wasn't sure how to. Get that done. I mean, we could label it whatever we want, but the mail right now comes to One Lost Valley Lane per path. And apparently nobody in our association likes that name.
So it's been named that already?
When we requested a mailing address. Gentleman came out and I gave him Pump House Road is what we would like to name.
Yeah,
it.
and he changed it.
And he sent back Lost Valley Path.
Right, but it's nothing official, with the post office yet, right?
We've had mail come out of here to Lost Valley Path.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Would be something we should check on with E911.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that's what the driver behind us asking is.
Yeah, I have their contact information directly, so I can contact them.
Somebody.
Yeah, I'll leave the information, send an email.
But from the board standpoint.
I thought the E911 people were the ones that signed the roads.
Right. I'm just trying to understand, because I requested it to be changed and the gentleman emailed me back that no, I'm not changing it.
So we just gotta wait, turn from here.
Let us check. I don't know if
Okay.
we can change it, but. Let us check.
If we can,
Right,
it's a private association, as long as it doesn't conflict with any of E911's current road names. I have no issue with it. I think it should be as you guys want.
And we
And
did
name
name
it
it, just to make sure,
accordingly.
my first thought was maybe there's a Pump House Road in Effingham, and you know what, shame on me, but I looked and there isn't one.
Because private associations, just a little bit of history without going on a, off on a thing, whatever. I used to live in what was Effingwood Farms Road, which was too close to Effingwood Farms, down below, one side of the hill to the other. We were requested by E911 to change that. We didn't have an association at the time, and we're forming one. And that is now Henry Drive. Because the gentleman that was the first year-round resident in there passed away. Unfortunately in there, and it was called Eldridge Lane. With all due respect to my bosses in the town of Ospey, I wasn't about to call it Eldridge Lane, so. So we suggested Henry Drive as an association, private association, and E911 had no issue with that. Having said that, we did not have.
someone else who lives on Henry Drive made a comment saying the association board sent a letter to the selectmen voted to change the name. So if you gentlemen wanted to make a motion and to change the name, I will make sure that gets.
So let's do it.
Okay.
I make a motion to change it to
Pump
Pump
House
House
Road.
Road.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you to the individual in Henry Drive. Made that suggestion.
Thank you.
You might know it.
Probably.
Takes care of it.
That takes care of us.
Thank
you. That was easy. Yeah.
It's not over yet, so let's not put our cart before the horse.
Okay, anybody else? Chuck?
Comment, two quick questions. L Chip came in today, did a site visit for our $172,000 grant we're going after. For the library building. Good news that they only had one question on a clarification item we need to follow up with, and we're in the process of 50 other people for that. They've also, Jacobs Glass brought in the front doors and side lights and transom windows for the building. They've got a little bit more work to do on the front doors, but the windows are in and look really, really nice. Question, do we know with the bad storm we had, with all the work we had to outlay for gravel and work, were we eligible at all to apply for any kind of disaster aid?
We have.
We have, perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Last item, culvert installation, the different culverts we've done, have we installed those according to what we need to and reported whatever we need to do to the state? For those two?
Haven't reported them yet.
Okay, good.
You gotta do it once a quarter.
Perfect, good, thank you.
Vicky?
Vicky Kirkwood, Green Mountain. When you were talking, Chris, about side road maintenance and whatever, the state hasn't done any either that I've seen, right? Have you seen any, like mowing?
Oh.
From the state?
They started, they did start.
And they must have just, because.
No, they didn't just start, they had started and then we had the rain events and.
Yeah,
obviously
okay,
that-
because, I mean, you were talking about the town of Effingham and taking care of that and everything, when the state hasn't even done. The major highways, I just am saying, I understand as a citizen that. You know, we have priorities, so if the side roads aren't, the side of the roads aren't maintained. I don't see a problem when the state isn't even really doing. Maintaining of mowing and.
I mean, you go down the turnpike, they don't even mow the turnpike. I think most
I
of
know, that's what I'm saying,
most of their labor, their trucks and everything are all rebuilding Route 140.
exactly, so I'm just saying. I understand for the town of Effingham that there's priorities and mowing the side of the road is not a priority compared to what we need to get done. I'm just making a comment for myself.
And there, sorry, there are still public safety things that need to be addressed. Obviously, if you have branches, tree limbs, grass, shrubbery that's growing up, it's impeding people's view.
Yeah.
We did have, about over a month ago, probably 6 weeks ago, we had a subject on Pine River Road that had concerns about, and 3 different vehicles, I drove in and out of that driveway. Made a couple of clippings of some tree limbs to see if, and I did the best I could to mitigate the situation that they felt was a dangerous situation, and I suppose if you're in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something like that, it could probably cause a problem, but you know, we are aware, so I still don't want people to say, well, I'll just live with it. There is a gentleman in town that he said, so just so I'm clear, he was here earlier, I wish he was still here. Just so we're clear, no calcium chloride. I said, not for me, not unless the other 2 gentlemen change their mind, I don't see it. And I hate to say when I was right, I don't really hate that, I really like saying that, but it continues to rain and the calcium chloride would have been washed away. And it would not have been, it would have been a complete waste of money. I mean, I gave some basic statistics of the amount of rain. So I said to him, you know, it takes a village, and I said, if we're willing to do, I do it myself. Calcium plates you can purchase for about $7 or $8. I think they're actually, I was told $9 or $10 a bag now for a 50-pound bag of calcium plates and a seed spreader on a dirt road, and apply that out sparingly, or, you know, depends on how much dust control you want to get. If you don't, if your garden hose doesn't reach, a little plant bucket, water thing, couple of trips, put some water to it. Mother Nature usually gives us plenty of water and takes care of it. And that little bit of your own will save the town in a whole. And again, it takes a village, so if we can all do our part. I do a little culvert maintenance, I know Leo does as well, Lenny. Do a little bit of part in front of your own house and stuff, and it'll go a long ways in this town as far as our tax bill.
So. Anybody on Zoom?
What do you got on here, Lenny?
I just wanted to give a promotion for Elaine Connors. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with her rescue. I had a broad-tail immature hawk that was hit by a car and was hanging out in my yard. And I was able to catch it and take it to her, and I heard people tell me, oh, she's kind of harsh and she'll just put it to sleep. And I don't know what she did with the hawk, but she was really compassionate, and I've not been to this preserve for probably 20 years. And I was really impressed. So I told her I'd take some of her newsletters and pass them out to the town. I don't know if you want to give them to the dog officer or someone to put them there.
Right. What you looking?
Madison, it's an awesome place. It's
Route
like,
41, before Silver.
she has permits to handle the raptors and she'll handle it, which I thought, well, you let me handle it, I picked it up. Anyway, so that was my happy news, but of course I have more stuff to ask you about. So I wasn't here yesterday, I had another commitment, so I couldn't go to the hearing, but I heard that I did listen to the tape recording of it. And I heard that item 12, which I asked you about 2 weeks ago, the language was changed to say the Board of Selectmen acknowledged the MENA tanks and not approved. I think Chris, you were in attendance at this last night.
I was.
So my question of this was, again,
And for the record, I did vote against the motion to change the wording link.
thank you. Do you know, can you say why? You
Why
voted?
I did?
Yeah,
Because the statement was actually made, and that was a record of the statement made.
yeah,
And the individual that made the statement stated at the beginning of the onset of that meeting, when George opened it up, that yes, I did make that statement. And that's what the record reflected. He made the statement, he said he made the statement, so I felt like it should not be changed.
okay, so question, okay, that's interesting, thank you for sharing that. So my question on that is, several things in that document were that selectman pretty much acting on his own, and one of his statements said, I absolutely said yes to this. But so as selectman, I don't know if you have any authority to have him recuse himself from these municipal boards.
Former selectman.
Right.
He was not
sorry.
making those comments as a current
Right.
board member, and he made that very clear that he was on board then.
Okay, but my concern is, as a taxpayer, I worked really hard on the drinking water ordinance for 3 years with a committee of people. It got voted in by the taxpayers of this town, and then it wasn't enforced by the municipal officials of the town. And I know you guys, and I'm talking about not just you 3 people, I'm talking about the selectmen as a unit. I know you're not paid a big salary, but you're still given a stipend. And I would hope that the municipal officials would read all of our ordinances and be clear. And this now goes to the municipal official, George Bull, chair of the planning board, who 2 times, when there were 3 or 4 lawyers in the room, I asked the question, this was 2 months ago, 3 months ago. George, is the planning board billing MENA because they're supposed to, according to your site plan regulations? Twice in public, he looked me in the eye and said, yes, Blair, don't keep asking me that, this is all done. I heard him last night say he made a mistake. Well, if I had an employee making these kinds of mistakes, they would be fired. So I'm just curious, as select boards, do you have any authority to oversee how these boards?
They're not employees, they're elected officials by you.
You vote them out.
And what about people who are appointed, is that still considered elected?
Appointed to the boards,
Yeah,
they're still appointed, they have their own authority. We have no authority over them whatsoever.
And there's no stipend with this board.
okay,
And as a sitting member of the planning board and a voting member, I have no authority over them.
okay,
I can say my piece, but that's about as far as it goes.
right. Because it just sounded when I listened to this recording and I wasn't there, that it was all about, just disregarding our own ordinances and our own town laws on the budget part of it, and on the drinking water part of it, and on the permit part of it. So that you're just gonna say it's not your business, that is the planning board's business.
That's not passing the buck, that is actual fact, I'm sorry to say.
You know.
Gentlemen, do you disagree that?
No,
No, they're elected officials, we can't.
So in this fact and finding thingy, the next statement, which was 13, where they say the selectmen issued a cease and desist. The selectmen issued that. In relationship to item 12, which was, go ahead, put the tags in, and then the next sentence says, no, now we're issuing a cease and desist. Like, what's that?
So it's not like that all happened the same night. So that's a timeline of the way things happen, beginning in spring of 2021 and moving forward to current today.
Don't you think it's odd that they issued the cease and desist after they said, go ahead?
So the cease and desist was after they were reminded that there was a groundwater protection ordinance that was passed in 2012.
So as I understand it, March of 2021 is when the selectmen had this private little, this is when you go ahead. But it was May 13th of 2021 that they issued the cease and desist. So there were quite a few months in between where they just changed their mind. Just kind of odd to me. It just seems like it's costing the town a gazillion dollars because there was no oversight on watching this. And there were municipal officials kind of acting on their own because of whatever project they want to see happen in the town.
That's your opinion.
Yes, that's my
Just,
opinion.
this current board wasn't that current board.
Right.
We have no jurisdiction over another elected or other elected boards or appointed boards. Only employees or representatives of the town.
So question on that, I support that, I understand that. With the budget item. In the site plan regulations. For the planning board, they're allowed to bill the applicant's attorney. And from my own work, doing land trust work. If I had an applicant come to me that wanted to put their land in easement, I would say you have to also pay. My organization's attorney fees, that's just how it is. And it's the same thing, the lawyer, I talked to a lawyer today and he said, yeah, most planning boards require that. I know that the previous chair of the planning board went to the then selectman and had permission to hire another attorney for the planning board, because it would be awkward to have the attorney representing the ZBA be the same attorney representing the planning board.
It wasn't awkward, it's actually a law.
Okay, I understand that, but at this point, George Bull made a mistake and forgot to bill Mina for that. So isn't it your job to say, no, you should be billing them? Like, did you guys vote that, no, we're not gonna bill them?
no, we're gonna seek reimbursement.
No,
That was set up with Teresa.
Not for
No.
your point, for the lawyer, for Bolt, the
Yeah.
planning board's attorney.
well, they made a motion, they
Well,
went.
that should have sailed money, because they were voting on it and they're like, we're not paying it.
I wasn't there, so, I mean, that was the agreement when I was on the board with Teresa.
Yeah, okay,
With,
because that's why we're in the hole right now with all the money that we're missing.
So if you continue to watch that, I made the statement that as the current selectman, I was at that meeting that night. And throughout the manifest signing. And with any bills that came from Chris Bolt's legal firm. And I still stand by this, have not heard anybody in opposition stating that Mina was gonna pay for that legal fee. I've never heard that.
But Lenny knows that, so there's like a big disconnect there. So how are you gonna get them to be reimbursed, because it says right in the ordinance. They're not given the permission until they've paid up their bills, and they've already been, this document has been signed, it's off. Gone to the ether,
doesn't say in there that any fees will be paid.
because it's not, that's not part of this fact and finding thing, that's part of our ordinance.
No, that was the agreement that,
Do you have anything in writing
it's probably in planning board minutes.
with Teresa? From that time period?
I don't know when,
When does,
what meeting
I
I
think
was,
in offer some insight.
I'm done, something to chew on.
I have to say, I was pretty disappointed in last night because there are no minutes that anyone can find to tell us what did happen back then. And I thought the minutes were supposed to be kept in a book over there, and according to what George said, there is no minutes to be had. No one knows what anybody said or did. Which I find very disturbing.
And this is concerning that selectman making that statement.
Both on both sides.
Yeah,
Well, I think the okay for hiring Attorney Bolt was made
but
by the select board.
yes,
Okay to seek reimbursement.
And that's in the minutes.
but
It can be
minutes are
in the-
always taken. And I don't understand why we don't have any of that particular meeting.
The planning board or the select board?
The select board does not, nobody has anything, if I'm correct. Planning or nothing to be found.
In regards to, and nothing to be found in regards to these
Statements.
statements.
Mm,
So the minutes are there
Right.
for that time.
right,
frame.
right.
But there was, so,
Right. But
you know,
there's no.
I researched it myself and there's no mention of that.
No.
So,
It's just like it never happened.
I did do a search of the minutes myself also, and then I actually called the selectman who made, the former selectman who made the comment, and was told it might have been in passing when someone was walking through the room. So I don't know, in fact, that it actually was decided by the Board of Selectmen.
so there was a statement made last night at that meeting that the selectmen that were on the board with Mike at the time are all in agreement that that statement was made at a selectmen's meeting, and they would sign affidavits. Your name was given, I'm sorry, but your name was
But
given.
you're not
Except
talking
for-
you're talking about technology.
Number 12.
I think what.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
so many people talking.
There's two different things going on. So was a statement made about the money? That's what we can't,
No, the
that's
money,
what now we're on, like where are the minutes where that can exist? Because there are no minutes, it's true, there's no minutes, like we don't find minutes, even if you come in here and look through, you know, Audrey can give you stuff, but it's like a lot is missing.
Do you remember, Chuck, when Teresa came to the meeting?
I'll be more than happy when I get my subpoena to go to court and answer all this stuff. I am not gonna get into it in
Oh.
another meeting. Like
I just wondered if you remembered her coming to the meeting. So it should be in our,
I remember her coming to the meeting, making requests to the board to hire out that.
so it should be in our minutes somewhere that.
So was that like spring of 2022?
But
Come on, I can remember more than you could about this.
That's your life right now.
I was at the meeting, Rosemary Wissenback, Province Lake Road. I was at the meeting last night. Quite frankly, I have not been at any of these other meetings. But sitting from where I'm sitting, now going back, in my opinion, when a former selectman made his statement and said, you know, whatever, blah, 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 I'll say, I said it, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's all he said. It's not written down. It is not official. It didn't happen. Anything in passing, anything that's not, it should have been written down in the minutes. If it's not, sorry. And the same thing, because you're gonna apply that towards the money business. Oh, well, it was never said, or it was said in past, or whatever. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and both. It was never stated there, and in the meeting with 2, 3, 4, whoever selectmen are gonna come and testify, whatever. It's hearsay.
And I would agree with that, and that's the second part of, so they wanted to change it because there were no minutes that reflected that the Board of Selectmen actually approved the USTs, the underground storage tanks going in.
Mhm.
But they were okay with changing approved to had knowledge.
Right.
There's no minutes that state that they had knowledge, but they were okay with that, and that's another part of me saying, wait a minute, you're changing one word, where is your proof?
The whole thing should have been removed.
Absolutely. It just has
Exactly.
to take a lawsuit, it's ridiculous if they didn't strike that whole thing.
beat this horse over and over.
So do you think we can get minutes by looking through the minutes of selectmen's meetings? To find where it should say in those minutes?
For the legal.
I
That
can,
Teresa,
for the vote of the night that Teresa was here,
yeah,
so I've gone back as far as I can to the January of 2022, and I can't find it. Where the Board of Selectmen.
Do the search for that, I didn't look for that, I looked
Yeah.
for the,
if you have
approval
time,
of
I'd
the-
love it if you wouldn't mind. Thank
What
you.
would be, did we have the,
Zoom.
recording, the Zoom, the microphone at that time? Because that would be more effective than I've been typed up in this, you might hear it more on a recording. I don't know if it was recorded at that time.
Can I just say something? I do want to say this for anybody that's on a witch hunt, because they can't find something in the minutes. And they want to go to anybody that recorded those minutes and said that they failed us in the town.
No.
Every time those minutes are presented to us, the board members have to vote on it. So if we didn't pick up on that, shame on us.
Exactly.
So I just want to make that perfectly clear. It seems like there's this witch hunt to go after somebody who's like, well, it's not in the minutes. Well, did you approve those minutes? Because if you did, shame on you.
Chris,
I'm not aiming that directly at you.
I will not record minutes for that reason. But, and I give them credit. However, if you're coming up against a discussion like that, something that important should be. And yes, the selectmen should have picked up on it or whoever. Whether it was the planning board, whoever, someone should have picked up on
We
it.
missed do a good job in the minutes,
Yeah.
zoning board hasn't had minutes for 2 years, so. You don't always have minutes.
Complicated, anymore.
Oh.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom have anything?
does anyone on Zoom want to raise their hand?
Thank you, guys.
Yep, we do have, I'm gonna unmute. Unmute Melissa. Oh, she has on microphone, okay, then type them in.
Can I ask you another question? Who's paying, so the town general fund is paying, that's before the money. The legal fund is paying for it. And then if it got reimbursed, we get reimbursed just into the general fund? Okay.
Okay, the question is can we send, add a search function to the website? I can ask. Remind me to teach you website. Okay, we'll ask Melissa.
Can she hear you?
Yep,
Mhm.
responding. Okay, anyone else on Zoom have a question?
No. Anybody in the audience have anything? No? Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Thank you, everybody.